Hello and welcome to the Albion Obsessed podcast. We have 1 week between now and the start of the Premier League. We played our final pre-season game yesterday. It went very well, I thought. But we're not actually here to talk about that. We're here to talk about something completely different. We are going to be ranking Brighton footballers past and present by their legendary status. But more on that in just a little bit. Let's see who we got on the show today. We welcome Joe. Joe, my friend, how are you?
Hello, Thomas. Yeah, doing well. Should be good fun today. Just looked at the time and it's currently 19:01, so that's great. Happy 19:01, everybody. But yeah, doing well. Excited for this.
Yeah, it's not something we normally do. It's something that's kind of sort of come about quite organically. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But let's talk to Aaron. Aaron, my friend, it's good to have you back on the show. How you doing, mate?
Hello, I am good. How is one?
I am very warm. Thank you for asking.
I am also warm. I am also very, very warm.
It's British
Not much
summertime.
fun. Not much fun being ginger in the sunlight.
No, not at all.
Try being bald in the sunlight.
Not the one.
Try being ginger. You're burning.
Yeah,
fair. No, you have not joined us on an episode of Hair Obsessed. We are here to talk about football. Today, we're going to be ranking 21. We had 20. We had to add one. 21 Brighton players, past and present, by their legendary status. Now, this is sort of come about. We've just lost Pascal Gross. He's signed for Borussia Dortmund, and many consider Pascal to be a club legend. And in the Albion Obsessed group chat, we were just sort of talking about what constitutes a footballing club legend. So this is where we've got this idea. We're going to rank 21 Brighton and Hove Albion players from the last 24-ish years. So we're talking with Dean onwards. Okay, we're not doing Goldston, that because it's before our time, really. So we would include the likes of Peter Ward, which we all know would be right up there. You know, maybe Steve Foster again, right up there. So it'd be pretty meh to include those guys, not because they're not good, just because we just put them really high. We don't have any of those mid players, I suppose. But we've got 21 players. Some are absolute heroes, legends of the club. Others not so much. So today we are going to be ranking them. If you are joining us on the live stream, please do join along at home. It's just a bit of fun, not to be taken too seriously, although I'm sure there'll be a few that do come to blows. Some fisticuffs, I'm sure, to be had.
We've actually got 24 players, Tom, by my reckoning.
24? But I only sent you 20. How have you managed that?
Yeah, but you included the number 11 and number 16 twice.
I blame Google Docs for that. So there you go. Okay, then let's show the people, Joe, how we're going to do this. So Joe's sharing his screen now. You can see here that you could buy a cake box. It's always Cupcake O'Clock shop now. That's an advertisement for you there. Free bit of advertising here. So
we are not getting paid for that.
No, we're not. We'll put the bill in the post. I'm sure if you've spent any time on social media, you will have seen one of these sort of tier lists. A lot of people do it for football clubs. A lot of people do it for pretty much just everything, really. So at the very top, we have got our legend box. Those are the players that we consider to be club legends. And then going down, you've got A, those are the players that are really good, excellent, amazing. B are your good players, really, really solid. C is your meh players. And then D is dreadful, dire, and the rest of it. And you can see down just below that, we've got all of the players we're going to be discussing today. If you don't recognize some of them, don't worry. We'll introduce the players and then we'll talk a little bit about them. It's just a bit of fun as they join in. If you are joining us on the live stream, put it in the chat and we'll see if you agree with us. So without further adu, Joseph, who is the first player on the list?
Well, let's get the quickest one out of the way, shall we? The first person on the list
is not Elvis Manu, El Dude Brothers.
I'm going to call him a person. I'm going to call him the King. It is, in fact, Bobby Zamora. So do we need a discussion on this one?
Yes, I think we do. Because I think we've started off really strong. And I think this is sort of like what the epitome of a legend is to me. And if you guys disagree, of course, join in shouting.
Let's
But
just do that.
For me, Aaron, I'm sure you'll agree, Bobby Zamora just epitomised the with Dean era. He epitomised the skint shirt for me.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, I know he was he left in 2003. So of course we were at the with Dean for a lot longer. We had skint for a lot longer. But when you say the with Dean, it's the first player that comes to my mind. The first player.
100%. I mean, we spoke about him in the documentary we done last year.
Yeah.
And he for me will always be one, if not the number one, Brighton legend for me personally.
Yeah, agreed.
Just for what he done for the club, the goals he scored, just everything. And yeah, like Simon said, he transformed the club. Like, those 6 goals in 6 games when he was on loan from to us from Bristol Rovers, and that really was something quite special for an 18-year-old to do that. And yeah, then he just kicked on from there, and yeah, absolute hero.
Yeah, perfectly said, Aaron. I think he just, as I say, he epitomizes a time and place in Brighton and Hove Albion's history. So, club legend, hands down, no arguments. Joe, anything to add to that?
Just about his timely return, really. Obviously, it was after the Sami Hyypiä season that Bobby Zamora returned. And whilst it was semi-injury struck, he certainly had a say in some very important games for us in that run where we finished third and didn't quite make it to the Premier League. But it's so good that he's been instrumental in 2 different eras for us. And that other fans that maybe weren't at the with Dean or anything like that, younger fans got to experience another era of Bobby Zamora. So, and still working for the club now as well. So he's just
very different type of player the second time around.
Definitely, for sure.
Very much a different type
35,
of player.
36.
Yeah.
So.
I tell you what, when he scored that goal against Leeds, was it Leeds his first goal back?
Yeah,
I cried.
the dink,
I was a blubbering mess.
Yeah,
and I remember I was working. I remember watching it on my iPad, and I just absolutely lost my head in the control room, like just proper absolute screaming.
And then he scored at the Amex against Bristol City.
Yeah, it was amazing. And
great.
Just really quickly, I think every summer, every January, especially as he got towards the end of his career, the North Stand chat, and then to the later extent Twitter, was always just like, is it going to be Zamora time? Is he coming back? Every single transfer window. And there was that one time that Andy Naylor tweeted that a Brighton legend was returning, and I was in the cinema with my wife going, oh my god, he's coming back. It was Dean Hammond. So I just remember being
nothing wrong with
Andy Naylor. So yeah, he was that player that you just always wanted to come back, and eventually he did. And just phenomenal player, absolutely. C'est magnifique. Next, let's talk about the next one. This is going to be an interesting one. We've got an easy one to start with, and then the second one's a tough one. Bruno. So Bruno joined us in Gus Poyet's second season in the Amex era. Played right back. He dislodged what was probably my favourite player at the time, which was Inigo Calderon, which made me very sad to start with. But he was a phenomenal footballer. He captained us to the Premier League. And he very emotionally retired whilst at Brighton, famously saying, once a seagull, always a seagull, joined our coaching side. And then when things were looking quite rosy for the club, we just finished inside the top 10 for the first time in the Premier League. 4 games into the season, he leaves to join Graham Potter at Chelsea. And I think this is a good chance to show you this from Greg. Boo. So,
boo indeed.
Joe, before he moved to Chelsea, what would you say?
Yeah, I mean, Dan's just put a comment in the chat. My head says B, heart says D. Before he left for Chelsea, I think he would be in legend.
Okay.
Just for captaining us to the Premier League. being 39 years old, still playing in the Premier League for us, still being instrumental for us in keeping us up for those 2 seasons. And just epitomizing everything that Brighton and Hove Albion was about. He was always in the community. He was, just an absolutely lovely guy. And I don't think him going to Chelsea means that he's not a lovely guy anymore. I think if you spoke to him, he would be pretty nice to you. But yeah, football fans love with their heart 100% and feel with their heart in football. Yeah, I never really think with my head when it comes to Brighton. It's always driven by my heart. So now it would have to go in the bottom for leaving how he left. And some people might say, oh well, he didn't have a choice, this, that, and the other. But I think there would have been a role for him had he have wanted to stay. So yeah, it's a difficult one because there's so many incredible memories with him. But I think what the chat's saying, I agree with. I would put him in D now.
Aaron,
I wouldn't have put him in legend to start with anyway. I would have put him in A personally. Now, I think D's a teeny bit harsh.
I think when you consider who else we're going to be putting in D today,
this is why I'm sort of thinking C. There's going to be some absolute stinkers in D, and I don't think he's anywhere near those. So mid C is what I would have said personally.
Yeah,
I don't think. I would say definitely C to mid C, depending who else goes in there.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, Aaron. I think Tom said it here. I think C is right. No, most of us have mixed opinions. But if he didn't join Chelsea, then he would be a legend. But for what he did for us, we can't put him in the bottom. Yeah, I think as Aaron said, there are going to be some stinkers in D today.
No.
I probably wouldn't put him as a legend, which might be controversial, but I think legend is overused. For me, he didn't define a period of time the same way someone like Bobby Zamora or Peter Ward did. So I would put him in top tier A, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I put him in A before the Chelsea move, but the Chelsea move has solid it. Let's put him in C, lads. I think C.
Okay, there he is in C.
Sorry, El Capitan, but you just dicked out on us at the end.
Next, we have someone that hasn't dicked out on us yet. Danny Welbeck.
That guy, Welbs. I mean, I wouldn't put him in an A tier myself. I don't think he's a consummate professional. He's well looked up to by the younger players of the squad. He seems like a really decent bloke. So I'd go with a solid B for me.
What about you, Aaron?
Yeah. B. Realistically, it's not going to be A. It's not going to be legend. It's not going to be any lower than C, really. So, yeah.
I think for the time that he's been at the club, since 2020, so what is he going into now? His fourth or fifth season with us? I can't work it out. But he's done a lot, scored a lot of really important goals for us in our quest for Europe.
And I think this point from from Greg, scored more goals for Brighton than he did either at Man United or at Arsenal. I think that's worth
more
saying.
Appearances as well.
Yeah. And I was having this discussion. I think it was Curtis earlier with regards to Welbeck. Yes, he's done it at a level above Zamora. Who Zamora never played above championship level for us. But when we talk legend, as I said before, it's about epitomizing a place in time. Yeah. So for me, Welbeck just doesn't do that. So yeah, I think solid B. Solid B.
Solid B. Let's put Danny Welbeck in a solid B tier. I think he would be the higher end of the B tier anyway.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. If this season he stays injury free and he catapults us up to the Champions League, we'll put him in the A bracket.
Absolutely,
that's absolutely fine. Just real quick from Tom. Love Welbs, but he hasn't been here long enough to be a legend. Very important to us and very important to the development of young players at the club. Yeah, 100%. Who's next, Joe?
Next, we have Fran Sandaza.
Oh,
right at the end of D. right at the end of D.
I think with Aaron, my memory might be playing tricks on me, but when he originally signed back in 2010, wasn't there quite a lot of hype around him? Like, we were quite excited.
Yeah,
Weren't
yeah,
So-
I don't know what happened. I don't know. Our scouting used to be horrific back in the day, clearly.
I think he pretty
yeah.
made like 20 appearances, scored like 2 or 3 goals max.
If that. I remember him scoring 1. That's what I can really remember. That was a penalty in the FA Cup against FC of Manchester.
Didn't
Or
he score
United in
against
Manchester?
He definitely scored a last-minute winner or
goal
equaliser
against
someone.
Carlisle or something, wasn't it? Towards the end of the season, I think he might have scored. Well, but that's the thing; he's almost so forgettable that it's for me.
I never forget about Fran Sanders. I don't know if it's just because that was my first season supporting the club.
I think he did have a good chant. He did have a good chant though. Hold me closer, Fran Sanders. Yeah, that was the best thing about him.
D easily.
D. Yeah.
Go on then. Poor old Fran.
I know, but
it'll be the end. It won't be at the end of D. There's definitely worse players.
There's still worse to come. There's worse to come. Yeah. Who's next, Joe?
We have a man who we signed for £1,000 and a few pieces of kit. Gary Hart.
Oh, I love Gary
Discuss,
Hart.
boys. You watch Gary Hart.
I love Gary Hart. He played everywhere. Literally, I think any position, I think he probably played it, apart from maybe goalkeeper. It's a difficult one because when we talk about Gary Hart,
I know where I'm putting him already.
Yeah, he might not be the most, like, when you compare him to like the level he's played at compared to some of the others, it's different. But we're not judging them on the level they played at. I suppose for me, I'd put him in A because his longevity was excellent. He was with the club for 13 years or something like that. He was just an absolute beast. You know, he just worked and worked and worked. And this is what Greg has said: workhorse. We're in the lower divisions. So if we're just saying it as at the level that they played at, he's got to be an A for me. Got to be an A.
Agreed. I mean, his partnership with Owusu when we were in League One with Russell Slade, that was special. That was special. Oh,
sorry about that, kids.
We lost our host.
Technical difficulties.
But yeah, the partnership we had with Lloyd Owusu back then was something special. That's what kept us up that year, which is crazy to say. Yeah, but yeah, A for sure.
Yeah,
he's going in A. There he
Love it. Oh,
so
there's only one. Only one.
There is only one of them. Glenn Murray. Now, Tom, me and you had a slight discussion on the group chat about whether Murray was a legend or whether he was, as we were calling him at the time, an icon. For me, he's a legend. He was our top goal scorer in the season that we got promoted to the Premier League. He was instrumental in getting us promoted from League One to the Championship. I know what happened in between. That
doesn't bother me. That doesn't bother me at all.
No. But it would bother some, I think. But for me, I think Glenn Murray, for what he's done for the club, and he scored over 100 goals for us. I don't think it can be argued with that he is an Albion legend, in my opinion.
Yeah. Aaron, where do you come in on this? Maybe you could sway me one way or the other.
A or B for me.
Oh, I've gone with a B. The B I'm surprised with.
Can score the goals he wants. You move to Palace, you cannot be a Brighton legend. I'm sorry, you can't.
Okay.
Regardless of how many goals he scored, don't care. It will always taint it. It will always taint it. Always.
And I think that's fair. I mean, I know some people don't have the same blasé attitude towards Palace as I do, but I do see where Aaron's coming from. But for me, I suppose legend is such an overused term, and I worry that if you start putting every Tom, Dick, and Harry in there that are vaguely good, then people like Peter Ward, Bobby Zamora don't get the sort of elevated status that they deserve. With Glenn, I preface this with saying that when we got promoted from League One, that was just Like that season was my favourite season ever. Like I don't think I've ever watched Brighton with as much enjoyment since then. And I've loved the Premier League, and I've loved like the recent seasons with De Zerbi and some of Potter Ball. It's been fab. But that season under Gus Poyet, my God, every week I was just having my socks blown off. And Glenn Murray was obviously a huge part of that. But he scored a lot of goals in the Premier League. He kept us up. But I've got to say A+, Joe. I've got to say A+. I can't bring in myself to put him because he doesn't define the era for me. Doesn't define the era like the same way Bobby Zamora did. And he doesn't define the Premier League era like other players have. And we'll talk more about some of those a bit later. So I'm going with A+.
Fair enough. I guess I will concede that given the points that you and Aaron raised. I don't think I can argue with the Crystal Palace one because it just made me look a ridiculous Brighton fan, to be honest. So, yeah, I think I agree with that. Aaron, do you agree? Put him in A?
Yeah. I mean, to this day, I will never say Murray's an Albion legend. I will never will do for that reason. And I will die on that hill. And I've said that numerous times. He just can't be in my eyes.
Well, I'll shout at you from my hill and we can have a good hill battle.
And I will be lovely on the fence in the middle, sort of just sitting on my margarita. Who's next, Jack?
Next is a club captain in Gordon Greer, who led us to the League One title, of course, and was also a big part of the early championship days under Gus, moving into, obviously, under Oscar as well. I played a lot. So, yeah, Gordon Greer. What are we thinking?
Didn't he get sent off in his first game, Aaron? Have I imagined that?
No, he got sent off in his last game for Swindon for a horrific like kung fu kick, and then he was banned. He was banned from our league start.
Yeah,
I remember that. I remember watching. Yeah, I remember watching, thinking, "This guy's a donkey." And then, like 3 weeks later, we signed him. I was like, "Brilliant." Probably. C, lower end B for me.
Yeah,
I think he was a fantastic captain, great leader, and him alongside an older Matty Upson and Alab. I thought he was the cool, calm, and collective Scotsman that we needed. So I either low end B, high end C for me.
Yeah, I mean, some of the people in the comments, we've got Dan's gone with C, Simon's gone with B, and Greg has gone with C. I'm sort of with you, Aaron. I'm thinking lower tier B, upper end C, because I think, again, for the time, he was solid. He played alongside some fantastic defenders. We've got Adam Elabd, Lewis Dunk, a young Lewis Dunk, Matty Upson, even someone like Greg Halford, I believe, played alongside Gordon Greer in Greer's latter time at the club. I'm going to go with C. Because Bruno's getting a bit lonely. How about you, Joe? What do you reckon of Greer?
I would go lower end B. I don't think you can put a club captain who's won us a league title in C. I think that's a bit too harsh. So I think I would put him lower end B.
Let's do it then. Let's put him in B. We've all said B. It's like, I think it's just that lower end of it, perhaps. So
sorry, Bruno.
That's fine. He'll just have to be a bit lonelier.
Actually, no, I'm not sorry. He hasn't apologized to us yet.
You made your bed, Bruno, and now you will sleep in it.
Exactly. So Gordon Greer, lower end B then. Next is a Spaniard who, well, let's call him a Basque country because he doesn't like being called Spanish, does he?
No. He's beautiful. He's a beautiful man.
He is a beautiful man. And he's working at the club as a under 18s coach, I want to say.
Yeah, I think so.
Was coaching the team at Hastings the other week, which I really wish I went to now so I could have met Inigo. So yeah, Inigo Calderon. What are we saying?
Oh, I love him. I just love him. He's just such a happy man. He scored with his face. He scores with his face. See, Simon gets it in the chat. He scored with his face. He's a beautiful, happy man. He's got when he did interviews. Oh, yeah, I love the man. I'd give him an A. And I think I'm probably letting my love for him cloud my judgment, but put him in the A tier. God damn it.
What a legend! I don't want to say legend. That's
a
how
cult
easy
hero.
it is
He's a
to
cult
say
hero
legend.
for me.
But yeah, what an absolute hero! Like seeing Inigo Calderon run down that right hand side, link up with winger after winger, and just give everything for the club every single time he stepped onto the pitch. Yeah, has to be an A. Aaron?
Yeah, can't really disagree. To be honest.
Yeah.
I mean,
Awesome.
I think you can't. If anything, it's lower end B, lower end A, higher end B.
Simon,
Really?
why B? I'm not asking to out you. I just genuinely want to know.
Yeah, Simon, drop it in the chat. Let us know why B. I think it was it 2010? He was rumored to be going off to Southampton as we desperately tried to keep up with them in the league. And I remember being absolutely gutted because I just really liked him. I just love him. I just want to give him a hug. And
he is very lovable.
I think the consensus is A, Joe. We look forward to hearing Simon's.
Do I put him above Glenn Murray or below Glenn Murray?
Below
Glenn Murray. Okay, there we go.
Oh my God! Look who's next.
Wow, what a beast this guy is. Kemi Agustin.
Oh God!
I mean,
he would like to say A or legend because he thinks he's that fucking good. No, it's a D, and like the furthest possible end, just before Zandaza.
I actually googled how many appearances he made for the club. He was with us for 2 years. Guess how many appearances he made?
13.
12.
Oh, Joe, you're spot on. 13 appearances.
Get in there. I remember his first couple of games with us under Oscar Garcia. He was an absolute beast, and I thought, wow, this guy, like, we've got a good player. And then he just completely went off the boil.
We don't have a Z tier, but if we did, Simon, he would be in it. You can guarantee.
I might add a Z tier just for him.
We had a snake tier as well. Just for Bruno.
Unfortunately not.
No, but with Kemi, I think he had I remember watching him in one game, and I remember he was just gassed after 20 minutes. Yeah. I was thinking, you're supposed to be a professional footballer.
Yeah.
How can you be
too busy spending money on his cars?
I know. Oh God, he's awful. Just awful. Let's move on.
Who have we got next? We have Kerry Mayo.
My ginger prince.
Aaron, you lead with this one, buddy.
I would say he's up there with Gary Hart. For me, again, longevity. He was actually a very good left back as well. He was actually a very solid left back, and the fact the years of service that he had, he's seen us through everything. Yeah, for me, A, alongside Gary Hart.
He actually joined in the Goldston era.
Goldston era. Yeah,
5. Yeah, because he scored
literally as a child.
He scored the own goal against Hereford on the last day. I wonder if we'd be putting him in A tier if we hadn't if we had survived and we hadn't scored. He was a phenomenal left back, wasn't he? And he was just brilliant, a fantastic servant to the club.
I met his wife as well.
I'm going to go B. I love Kerry Mayo, I really do, but I'm looking at who else we've got to go. Who else is in A? I'm thinking B is probably a good top B, above Welbeck B for me.
Go on, Aaron. Are you going to argue that?
Why? What were your reasons behind that? Exactly.
I think it's more to do with who we're putting him in A with, if that makes sense.
I mean, I would put him above Calderon.
It almost becomes not about him, which is wrong of me. It becomes more about who you're putting him in there with.
I would put him above Calderon, if that's the case.
That's fair. That's fair.
In my opinion.
I think if we're doing this tier list fairly, I think we have to do it based on them and not.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think it's wrong. It would be wrong of me to suggest he shouldn't be in A because so and so's in A. Okay, let's go.
So am I putting him above Caldy or below Caldy?
I would say above, but
Simon did put Calde in A, and now he's angry that we put Mayo in A as well.
Let's put Mayo in there. Why not? Sorry,
fair.
Simon.
Oh, I think I know who's next.
The next player is Le Petit Magician, Anthony Knockaert.
Hey.
Yeah, I think again you're looking at the length of time, aren't you?
Yeah, short
Where
period of
it's
time.
like
But my
4 or
God,
5
he
years.
lit up the championship.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you're talking about an individual player, whenever he got the ball, you just thought something was going to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
And there are very few players that I can say I think that about now. Maybe Matoma now is one of those players. But in the past, especially around that time, he was just like, get the ball to Knockaert and see what he can do. So yeah, he's just phenomenal, lovely human being. So yeah,
The chats are all agreeing with yourself. Aaron, what do you reckon of Anthony Knockaert?
Yeah, realistically, probably for me, probably above Murray. I think if he stayed fit and actually maintained the level of performances he did have in the championship, he would have quite easily been pushing up to legend status.
Yeah. I agree with Simon's comment there.
100%.
I mean, agreed. Yeah. You know, I don't think he's a legend for me personally. I don't think he delivered enough on the bigger stages for the club. Hence why I think, above Murray, but alongside Gary Hart, I would say.
Go on then. Let's put Anthony Knockaert alongside Glenn Murray.
Yeah, because Knockaert didn't have the longevity of perhaps like a Murray or a Gary Hart. But it's like someone says, I don't think I've ever seen a player in a Brighton shirt that had the same sort of impact across the season. Just, he was utterly ridiculous how good he was. So Tom's saying here, Knockaert is a legend, but it can be questioned compared to some of the others who stayed for longer. So for that reason, I think A is top tier A, because he was just he was box office, to borrow it from Johnny Cantor, simply box office.
Now, we all remember that Anthony Knockaert goal at Sellers Park, of course. Let's remember another goal against Crystal Palace. We were down to 10 men. Leon Balogun is next.
Yeah, I mean, lower end C, really. That's all we did at the club, but hell, it was a hell of an impact.
Instant cult hero, though. You
gotcha. I mean, to be fair, you could put Paul McShane on this list and he would be a legend.
Yeah.
For that goal at Sellers
against Palace is what makes you a legend. I think.
But the thing is, at the time when McShane did score, sorry, getting off topic here.
No,
we were god awful.
We were.
They were pushing for Premier League. We haven't beaten them at Selhurst for God knows how long. The last time we were there, we lost 5-0. So the fact we went there on October the 18th, 2005 and won 1-0 is, still my favourite away day, because it was crazy. I mean, I've got the signed shirt up on my wall from that game because we wore the white kit.
Yeah.
And but anyway, C for Leon.
Yeah. We've got two people in the chat saying D.
I think he wasn't great, was he? He wasn't very good. But he scored that great goal against Palace with his first touch. So for that reason alone, I don't think he should be
in C. Above Bruno as well, because why not? The next one is just absolutely fantastic.
Is it Sexy P?
No, it's Leon Best.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. In D. Was he worse than Kemi Angustin? That is a question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh, yes.
I think yes, because this could be, again, misremembering, because a lot's happened since then. But didn't Chrissy Houghton want him? Didn't he request?
Yeah, that was a kind of fucked up thing.
That's concerning.
Because you got to remember, because he had him at Newcastle.
Yeah. Yes, And I think that's
loved him
why I
there.
think he needs to go at the very bottom, because the gaffer at the time thought, I know, here's a good idea. I mean, he's worse than Billy Painter. And Billy Painter was
That was
tragic.
a dreadful
I
time.
don't know. That's a push.
No, I would say he was worse than Billy Painter. 100%. Billy Painter was tragically bad as well. But yeah, Leon Best. Oh, no, get in the bin. Get
Okay.
in that bin.
From one Leon to the next,
Ooh.
Leon Knight.
Scored
Aaron?
against Bristol.
Top end, lower end B. I think the impact he had at the club at the time. I think,
Especially with having lost Zamora.
More exactly, and we needed some sort of goal scorer. You know, we tried numerous different things; it didn't really work. His attitude, yes, it was a bit shit, and cocky and arrogant. But I think, if I'm honest, that's what made him good in that sort of. Really, if I'm being honest about it, yeah, lower end, playoff with Penn. I mean, he was dreadful in both the playoff semi-final games, and I remember him saying in the documentary that he was generally did not think he was going to be starting because of how bad he was. I mean, he was god awful.
Yeah,
like he did nothing either game. I mean, still the fact we won those games still baffles me to this day.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, his goals in the league got us there. Yeah. So yeah, lower end B, top end of C. I mean, if Balogun's in C, then he really should be in B.
Yeah, I think Aaron's put spot on. I think we just lost Zamora. We had just lost our talismanic striker. So we needed someone who could come in and score goals. He was on loan, I think, to start with, a bit like Zamora, and he scored goals, and he scored a very important goal in our history in the playoff final in Cardiff against Bristol. So yeah, I think you've got to put him in B.
There you go.
Even if he was a toxic little shit, but we move.
He is in B.
No. I know.
I have no live bleeper here, Tom. Come on.
Sorry, guys. My apologies. It's been a long day.
Next we have
Marcus Painter.
No.
Matt Sparrow.
Matt
Sparrow. Jesus Christ. I mean, I didn't really watch much of him, so I can't actually judge.
He was one of those players that I think when he came to us in that League One season, I thought he was decent enough. I thought he played quite an important part in that final season at the Withdean. Didn't really happen for him in the sort of the Gus Poyet era. I remember he got sent off in a game. I also remember him scoring twice against Southampton. So I'd probably put him in a C category because I just think that, C.
Yeah. Being part of that League One side, again, will always win you plaudits for me because, as I say, I love that team. Yeah. It was the first team I loved.
From what I can remember of that midfield in that League One season, you had Matt Sparrow, Gary Dicker, and Alan Navarro. And those three did and Liam Bridcut as well, did really, really well. I don't think any of them performed to the level that Bridcut did once we reached the championship. But I just remember thinking Matt Sparrow was all right. I really liked Gary Dicker for what it's worth. I know we're not talking about Gary Dicker, but I really liked Dicker for what it was worth it. And Bridcut.
He's gutted when he broke his leg.
Yeah. And Bridcut was just Bridcut. So, yeah. C for Spadge.
There you go. Now, we've got two goalkeepers up next. We're starting with T-Rex arms, Matty Ryan. Aaron, take it away, buddy.
C.
In defense of Matty Ryan, this won't change.
He's a bang average goalkeeper.
Yeah. The
thing he's like 4'4".
It was really funny that he was always
dwarf play better.
He was touted to be 6 foot, and he's one of those people you look at and you think, he's not 6 foot.
Which blind motherfucker decided to give him he's going to be 6 foot? I'm 19 foot and weigh 4 pounds. If that's the case, I'm a supermodel, mate.
That'd be a weirdly proportioned human being.
It would be. I mean, it'd still be a better goalkeeper than Matt Ryan. So
In defense of Matt Ryan, not in defense of his goalkeeping capabilities, but I bloody loved seeing him sprint the length of the pitch to celebrate. I bloody loved that. So I would give him a C because again, I don't think I can put him in bloody, in the same
he
way as Leon
doesn't.
Best. I just can't do it.
He doesn't
But
belong now.
the next one we can.
No, don't you dare be mean about Sexy Pete.
Now
on,
we're
Tom.
talking about goals because you can't catch a ball. Peter Brezovan is number 1 on that list. Put him in D next to Leon Best.
Oh, my Sexy Pete. Sexy Pete Brezovan. We've gone from one extreme of sort of height difference to the other. We've gone from someone who's 6 foot to someone who's like 7 foot. But as you say, Aaron, he couldn't catch a ball to save his life.
You're that tall. You should be dominant in the air. How can you not catch?
He was so poor from crosses. He was just flapping it.
I don't get it.
He had a bit of a singing career, and I think he was such a bad singer. And I just felt like, oh, P.
So we're putting him in D for his singing ability and his goalkeeping ability.
Yeah, I don't
What
think
was
he can
worse?
go
What
next
was
to
worse?
Leon Best, but I think
Above Fran Sandezer? Below?
Yeah.
Below.
really. Okay,
He
fair.
was god awful. At least for Sandaza actually scored.
That's true.
But because Tom
Brezovan-
loves him, I'm going to
Sexy
put him
Pete.
there. Just for Tom.
Just you wait. Just you wait. Just you wait.
Next, we have
Oh yeah,
Robbie
this is
Savage.
And
Yeah,
this was a bit savage of us to include him on the list, considering he was a lone player that played like 5 games for us.
Yeah.
But we needed some people to fill out the sort of the bottom tiers of the list.
Can I just say it was Tom that came up with these players, no one else.
I did come up with the players, but I just Aaron, I might be misremembering it. But when he came, I know it was on loan from Derby.
Yeah, correct.
I remember being at least somewhat sort of, Robbie Savage. I know him. He's been around. He's a decent enough player. Hopefully he'll, improve us because we were god awful at the time. And he was just dreadful.
I remember I got interviewed by Sky Sports.
Yes,
when
he
did. When he joined. But I mean, yeah, I'm not being funny. Yeah, clueless. He was clearly just there. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there is any. Hold on, is the next one Ryan Harley?
Yeah.
Yes. I told you we need some
my
people
fucking god.
Oh, we've good evening.
Okay,
everyone. How you
Hello.
doing?
can we move Peter Brezovan up to C then, please?
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
I was unfamiliar with your game.
So I'm sorry, Tom. I did not realize he was in this list. My apologies.
Are we really putting Brezovan in C?
Yes.
Yes.
If Ryan Harley is in the list, he is going to C.
All right, okay.
So yeah, Robbie
Ryan,
Savage.
he couldn't.
I
catch, he couldn't
imagine
save,
we're putting
couldn't
Ryan
kick.
Harley up here.
He was. I know we've moved on from Robbie Savage. I have not had a brain fart, Daniel. I have not in the slightest, because it's always these people that are the most fun to talk about. And to start with, my list included Bobby Zamora, Adam Virgo, Charlie Oatway, and then it would just be very top heavy. So I've tried to sort of minimize it.
There's top heavy and then there's shit.
I know. Ryan Harley, Aaron, do you think we signed him because I think Gus Poyet was guilty of this in our promotion season? Whenever we played a team, and they did well against us, or there was a player that did well against us, we signed them.
Yeah, he scored against us.
Will Hoskins, Ryan Harley, and then we signed them all. So I think he was just, I don't know.
One of those. I remember a free kick he scored. That was great.
I remember the penalty he took against Millwall. He just walked up and passed it to the goalkeeper. Literally passed it to the goalkeeper. And we all just stood there in the stands like, is he taking the piss? Like, what is that? I've seen an infant kick a ball harder than that. Get him in that D list and actually probably one lower than Kemi.
Yeah,
all right,
he was awful.
He's not as bad as Leon Best. I'm sorry, but you can't take the piss here.
Dan, you have to blame Tom that there's no Liam Bridcut.
Okay, then Liam Bridcut, I'd put him in a solid B. There you go.
Yeah,
really? That high?
Yeah, I thought he was excellent. League
He was
One,
brilliant for us.
absolutely brilliant. First
Yeah,
two
but then you
seasons
got
under
you got
Gus,
to remember
brilliant.
if we're putting Bruno in C because he's a snake, he did the exact same thing. He kicked off and
That's
moaned
true.
and bitched, and then moved to Sunderland.
Okay, then
Yeah,
we'll put
fair
him in C, Aaron. There you go. Because to be fair, if we've done it, we've got to be consistent. You know, I'm all about the consistency. Bruno
true.
did that, and he's a C. Let's put Bridcut in C as
Now
well.
I'm very excited to talk about these last five players. We got Shane Duffy up next.
Oh, I loved Shane Duffy. Ain't nobody like Shane Duffy. He was. I remember in the first two seasons in the Championship, him and Lewis Dunk. Those last two seasons, I should say.
One season.
Championship. Was it one?
One.
It was two. My mistake. Yeah, the last season in the Championship, and then the seasons in the Premier League under Chrissy Houghton. Him and Dunk. That partnership was just. It was just so good, and you know, he was one of those players that you just thought, you know, if ever there's that sort of Armageddon scenario where there's a meteoroid coming towards the Earth, just send Shane Duffy. Doosh, be fine. Oh yeah, he was just great. Nice guy. We talked about Aaron Gordon Greer getting sent off in his last game for Swindon before joining us. In the last games for Blackburn, he had before joining us, I think he scored 2 own goals.
2 own goals, yeah. 2 own
Yeah.
goals.
So I don't think he had a very good debut either.
No.
But he was such a nice guy, fantastic defender. I'm putting him in B.
What about you, Aaron? When you put Shane
but
Duffy,
lower end.
low end.
I think if you've got Leon Balogun,
Can I say something quick?
of course you can.
I don't think Welbeck should be that high of B.
Put him below Leon Knight.
There?
Or
He's probably.
your Fairs.
Yeah. I can't argue with that.
I don't think. Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna put.
Where am I putting Shane Duffy?
Then
I'd say in front of Gordon Greer.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably fair.
Okay.
Cool. Evening, Luke, mate. We're doing
Luke.
a ranking list, mate. So, of course, let us know your thoughts on the last few players.
What I will do after this, I will make this tier list public, and people can do their own, and then share it with at Albion Obsessed on X, on Instagram, and we'll include you in the stories and all that good stuff.
Please do.
Well,
That'd be sound. That'd be really good. Yeah, love Shane Duffy. Up next, this is going to be a fun one, because can we look past that first game at the Amex, or is that just going to be where our brains go? William Buckley, Will Buckley. What do we reckon? Where does he rank on this list for you?
I mean, I go to what Gus Poyet said after that game. It's just he paid that £1 million fee back within 10 minutes of being on the pitch. We spoke to Craig McCall-Smith a few weeks ago, and he said he was waiting for Will Buckley to square the ball to him when he scored that last-minute winner against Doncaster. I said to him, "Do you think you would have scored, Craig?" And he said, "Definitely." So we'll take his word for it. But yeah, Will Buckley, absolutely fantastic for the time that he was with us. What was it? 3 seasons. We were comparing him to Wilfred Zaha at some points and saying he was better. I think he was better. So yeah, for me, I think Will Buckley would be a solid high-end B. I think he would be above Shane Duffy for me.
Ooh, them's are fighting words. Aaron, rebuttal.
I can't actually believe I'm about to say these words. Hold on a minute.
Oh no.
Aaron, do we need to get the bleeper ready?
No. Zaha was better than Buckley, in my opinion.
To be fair, he was. Buckley had
let's be real.
Tragic injury record.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
I haven't had my bit yet.
That's made me feel disgusting.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said let's move on very quickly.
You know, Aaron, how much pain that would have caused him. So yes, well done, Aaron.
B, yes.
Where are we
No.
putting him in B?
He's nowhere near above Duffy or Gordon Greer.
Leon Knight.
Yeah.
For me, I think
He can't really be any higher than those two.
in isolation, for me, Buckley's a C. But because he scored the first 2 goals at the Amex, he has to be a B.
All right.
For me, that's
Let's
for me.
put him-
If
put him in.
he's not the scorer of those first 2 goals at the Amex, he's a C category because he was injury prone.
Yeah.
And he went missing for massive chunks of his time with us. But he also scored those first 2 goals in the Amex, and we got our first win. So he has to be up there.
That's fair.
Or Aaron.
Let's just let Aaron have this one.
Come on, Aaron.
Legend done. Legend done. Best goalkeeper we've had at this club in my era by far. He's by far the best goalkeeper I've seen in a Brighton shirt. Granted, he couldn't kick for toffee, but that's why he reminded me so much like myself. He as a child he was my idol, so I will always say legend. Michel Kuiper, Zamora, those two for me will always be legends.
Yep.
One of the best shot stoppers we've ever had at the club. That double save against Wolves, so much better than Stockdale's. It's not even close. Just everything about that era. He was the best number 1 we could have had. We had the best defence in front of him. Fantastic midfield. He won back-to-back promotions. There is no way you can say he's not a legend. No way in hell.
You don't
there's
say,
just no.
No, you
there's
don't
just
stay
no
at
way
club
you can
for 10
say
years and not be a legend. He was, as Aaron says, and he will say it a lot better than me. He, if Zamora epitomised the attack, Kuiper's epitomised the back. He was
100%.
I like that phrase. That was a good phrase.
The thing is he. When you look back at that era, there's really like a handful of players you pick out and go, yeah, he was Mr. Brighton. He is one of them. Zamora is one of them.
Yep.
Danny Collett was one of them. Charlie Oatway, one of them. They're the people I think of instantly when I think back to the 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not the I said knew a lot because I didn't have a season ticket there with him for the last year. I gave up because I was like, this is terrible. I'm going to carry on playing football at a decent level. So my earliest memories of Brighton at the WIF team were Kuiper's. Actually, maybe Will Packham actually was the first goalkeeper I saw. But I mean, Kuiper's was sensational, legend. I don't think again it has to be.
Yeah, I'd like to see someone try and argue that he's not. I think
right.
Yeah, I think
legend.
True Albion legend. Nothing else to say, Aaron. Well done.
There you go. He is in legend. Above Bobby or below Bobby?
Below.
I think
below.
They're sort of for different reasons.
All right, cool. Let's just have them on the same pedestal. Next, Aaron,
this was a last-minute entry. This was the last
above Zamora, above Michel Kuiper's. Build this man a statue. No.
When we did our Albion Obsessed end of season awards a few seasons ago, the Albies, where there was a question on there. There was a section called "How are you Albion obsessed?" And one of the questions on that section was about how many times we mentioned Dan Burns' name after he left to join Newcastle, and it was something ridiculous like 30. He's very well thought of amongst the Albion Obsessed crew. I think he's one of those players, a bit like Calderon. He's a cult hero.
The thing is, though, it's funny because Dan Burn was actually shite, but just because he was 6'7", he played left back, which he's not a left back, but he done so well. It just didn't make any sense, but that's why I loved him.
Yeah.
I mean, put a winger with Pasek up against him, it is horrific.
Oh, that Wolves game against Traore. Oh my god.
I've never seen a player. Actually, no, I can't say that on live stream. But Yeah. I mean, realistically, he's like B below Welbeck. I think the thing is, he was actually decent as like half decent when he was actually,
Yeah.
you know,
I
That
think
goal against Man City as well.
it's like you say, Aaron. It was almost like he didn't make sense. It was like watching
yeah,
Bambi
he
on
did.
ice. He's like his
Actually,
legs were
I mean,
too
that
long
goal
for it.
was that,
And his
prime
goal
result.
was the most Dan Burn goal you would ever see in your life.
Yeah, on his arse, just kick a ball and hope. Love it.
Loved it.
I really wish Dan Burn had Twitter.
I think
Because
he's on
I would pester him every day and be like, I'm the biggest fan. Love me. Accept me.
Yeah, so Aaron dubs Dan Burn his sweet prince, if nobody knew that. So we need a my sweet prince category.
Yeah, we do love Dan Burn. Great
We
player. Great player.
Forever and always. Amen.
So there he is in the lower end B. And next,
The man who started this, the reason we're doing it, Pascal Grosch, and he's just left for Borussia Dortmund after a fantastic career with us. First signing of the Premier League era, scored the first goal in the Premier League era, and leaves as our Premier League top scorer. Joe, you wax lyrical about Pascal. Let's see what you've got to say today.
I mean, your definition of legend was for somebody who defines a period in our history. And if you look back at the Premier League from the start to now, the first person you think of is Pascal Gross. It has to be. He's played under 3 managers with us, has adapted himself extremely well every single time, even when it looked under Graham Potter like he was completely out of it. He came back and still became one of our most important players in that period of time as well. And then being instrumental in getting us to the Europa League, scoring for us in the Europa League, just cementing his status as one of, if not the best signing this club has ever made, for the amount of money that we got in for and the output we got out of him is just astronomical. So that, for me, is why Pascal Gross has to be a legend.
Someone did the maths, and I apologize, I can't remember who it was, so I'm not saying your name because I just can't remember. Someone did the maths, and apparently it worked out at £300,000 per goal involvement, which is an absolute steal. Now, me and Aaron have been quite critical of Pascal over his time with the Albion. I think, to our credit, I think there's been times when he's been not played in the right position. And I got absolutely flamed last season for suggesting that shoehorning him into those positions was a bad thing. And I've taken my licks on that. But Aaron, do you agree with Joe? Is he the defining character of our Premier League era?
I mean, if we just kind of described Zamora and Kuipers in the Within era, you kind of have to put Gross in that kind of category if that's how we're sort of measuring it. Do I agree that he is a lead? Do I personally agree? No, I think he's top A, above Hart. But if what we're categorizing as we've done with Kuipers and Zamora, they've sort of epitomized an era of Brighton's history, then yes, you kind of do have to put him as a legend, in my opinion. Like, I've always been Gross's biggest critic. It's obvious, I've always have been, but the last 2 years especially, the best he's ever played.
Yeah. By
far. And, yes, he's played out of position under football terrorism, Mr. GP, playing right wing back, which was just...
I still have nightmares about that.
Yeah, I can just picture Gross trying to run up the right-hand side, and then, it's just so slow, poor sod. Come on now, give the brother a bit of support. It's just not fair. You are literally putting the lamb to the slaughter.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
But I think, I think,
Yeah, that's the thing is if we've gone off Zamora and Hypers, like I said, sort of epitomising that Brighton era, then Gross has to be a legend for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you
In
said
my
that, Aaron, because again, I was very critical of Gross. We once did an Albion Obsessed worst Amex 11, and at the time, I put Pascal Gross in there as a right back. Okay,
I still agree with that. I know, I still agree with that.
Yeah, at the time,
Right.
he was playing right wing back under Graham Potter, and it was awful. It was tragic, but to Pascal Gross's bent, like, it speaks volumes of him as a person because he did it. He probably knew he wasn't best suited to it, but he did it. And he played everywhere and anywhere he was ever asked to play. He was Mr. Versatile. And we all know he was at his best as a sort of attacking central midfielder, as a number 10. Glenn Murray famously once said, when asked, how are you still scoring goals in the Premier League? He just turned around and said, Pascal Gross. His goal involvements are ridiculous. And I don't like using the word legend too much. Like you, Aaron, I'm a bit wary of it. However, if, as I say, we've just waxed lyrical about Bobby Zamora and Michel Kuipers as defining an era, Pascal Gross defines our Premier League era 100%. I would probably, he does it more than Lewis Dunk. He does it more than Bruno, who was the captain at the start of the time. So yeah, he's a club legend. He has to be for what he's done for the club. He stayed with us for a long time, and it was a very happy long time that he stayed with us. So yeah, Pascal Gross, club legend.
Let's put him in D then.
And there you have it. So we have 3 legends: Bobby Zamora, Michel Kuipers, and Pascal Gross. Of course, there are more club legends. We could be here all day arguing and discussing what a club legend actually is, but I think those 3 out of the 20 or so players that we chose do it quite well. I think that's a pretty fair list, but of course, let us know your thoughts. Have we had any mares here? Is it a pretty solid list? Lads, I've got one more for you. One more. I know there's no picture, but I just want to get your opinion on this one. Because it's one that I think could be in the upper echelons of sort of pushing into legend, depending on how things go. But what are your thoughts on Jurgen Locadia? No, I joke. I joke. I do have something. Aaron's gone now. Aaron's so angry. He's gone.
Tom, I've actually got something to say about that.
What's that, Joe?
I would put Locadia in C for his goal against Millwall.
Fairs. But real talk now, I do have one last player to put in here, and that's Lewis Dunk. Where would we put Lewis Dunk in this
There's
list?
no question. Legend. 100%.
From Withdean to Wembley? Aaron, do you agree with that? Is he a club legend, Lewis Dunk?
I mean, it kind of has to be, really, let's be honest.
Aaron's like, well, if he has to be, he has to be.
I mean, I left when you said Locadia because that's just fucking.
I know, man. That was my little fishing trip. I
mean, top end of D for that one goal, I suppose. Oh no, he scored against Arsenal. To be fair,
yeah, we'll give him that.
No, I mean, still a D. I mean, in all fairness, we never would have got to Wembley without those goals. Yeah, still D.
Anything? Okay. What about his music? Still D?
Still follows the club, though, apparently.
Still follows the club.
Does.
I think Dan's put this in there. I think Peter Ward, Lewis Dunk joins those 3 as club legends.
Would anyone else join as a club legend, do you think? You think of anyone else?
Steve Foster?
Yeah.
Probably. But again, it's difficult.
You can't probably add player wise, isn't it? I was about to say Dick Knight, but that doesn't really count.
What I found really hard doing this list, and the players as well, is where sort of the lines blur between legend and cult hero. I think Inigo Calderon's a cult hero because he might not have done amazing things, but the fans just loved him. I reckon Minter is going to also be a bit of a cult hero. Loire was a bit of a cult hero.
Yeah.
These players might not have done like amazing things, propelled us into heights unforeseen, but the fans just loved them. I think that you could argue players maybe like Adam Virgo would probably be top end A, pushing into legend, maybe as a centre back playing up front.
Dan said Solly March.
No, Solly. I'd put him.
Chance, not in legend.
No,
freaking.
No, I wasn't saying legend. I was saying
I thought that's what Dan was saying. B.
Yeah. A lower end of A. Actually, scored the goal that got to the Premier League.
I'd put him mid A up with Glenn Murray.
I think.
But the problem is he hasn't really done anything until like a year and a half ago. Realistically, he hasn't done anything. Jimmy Case, that's actually a very good shout, by the way. For me, it would be above Dan Burn, but not above Welbeck.
Here's a question for you, gents, and this is sort of like around Adam Virgo, Solly March. Do you think sometimes we're a bit more lenient with players from Sussex than we perhaps are with other players? Obviously, Solly March is from Hailsham. He's a Sussex lad, born and bred. So are we perhaps more likely to say because he's a Sussex lad and he's playing in the Premier League for a Sussex team that he's a legend? I like Solly. I think he's a great player, and I think we really missed him last season. But I don't think he's a club legend. I think his career has been blighted by injury, and we've just not seen him do it consistently. But I still like the lad. Big fan.
I agree. I think. For me, like I said, only last 18 months he's been obviously before the injury. He was electric, but I'm saying even past the last realistically 5 years, 6 years, hasn't really done anything.
Yeah, he's been very hit and miss.
Yeah, he found some form at a very good time for us, and everyone's been like about time. After lockdown, it was like, oh, this is what we were expecting beforehand. I remember he scored that goal against Villa, and we were like, oh, that's a good finish. I was like, there we go. That's what we kind of been expecting you to do for the last 2-3 years. But I mean, there's still some players in that list that I still think probably would. It's difficult though. In my eyes, a lot of the older Withdean lads should be, are cult heroes compared to the Amex era for me, but that's because I grew up watching them, where now I'm kind of older and wiser, inverted commas, that I don't really see it like that now. Like when I was a kid, like rocking up and seeing Zamora score 3 past Portsmouth and think Portsmouth are a massive team and we just tore them apart at the Withdean. Like what is this? Like it's just little things like that. And we're now I kind of do you want my honest opinion? Do you want my honest opinion?
Go.
I kind of miss being crap.
There's something quite nice about it, isn't there? Low pressure. And that's why I quite enjoy watching grassroots football and Sunday League and all that sort of stuff, because there's just those low expectations and there's something quite nice about it.
Being back, when I was thinking about when we were at the Withdean last year, I mean, it's almost a year or so since we came up with that.
I know. Go watch that documentary if you haven't already.
Yeah, I'm trying to plug it. And I miss it. The Amex doesn't feel like home to me. That does. And I always maintain that, because that is where I grew up. That's in my eyes now, none of those players I'll be like, oh wow, I can't wait to see them and watch them play.
And even the crap ones you remember fondly. I
have one name in my head. Yeah.
I don't imagine we'll be thinking about people I don't know, Leroy Lita in the same way we think of, I don't know, I can't even pull out a name out of a hat, but you know what I mean? We won't think of those players in the same way. So I get it. Yeah. Baz Savage, thank you. We won't be looking at people like Leroy Lita in the same way we look at Baz Savage, or even people like Sam Vokes.
That was a cult hero right there. That was a cult hero.
And I'm sure
even Lloyd Owusu as well. I love Lloyd Owusu. Man, he was classed.
And I'm sure it's for people that grew up with the Goldstone as well. It's that nostalgia effect, isn't it? It's the nostalgia goggles. The people that went to the Goldstone as kids, they probably look at the players from the Withdean era and the Amex era, and they probably think similar to what me and you might do, Aaron.
Oh, God, yeah. 100%.
Now.
You know what I love about the Amex, though? I just love the fact that when you look at it, you just know how hard people have fought for us to have a home.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And it's just so incredibly special to know that we've got a state-of-the-art stadium with padded seats, as you say, Tom, which is lovely. And extra legroom. I went to QPR last week. And
their legroom's horrific. I should have warned you beforehand. Yeah.
I've got cuts on my legs.
No, it's always been one of the grounds that I love going to, but there's no room.
It's good ground.
Yeah, there's no room at all. But I mean, that's what I mean. Yeah, like I said, the Amex will never feel like home properly, anyway.
Fair enough.
Until I take my kid there, perhaps. But we won't go down to that black hole right now.
That's why stuff like this, what we've done tonight, it's really nice because it's a trip down memory lane, and any excuse to talk about players from the Withdean era, me and Aaron, we are there.
And if you want to make your own tier list, there is now a link in the comments. So go and make your own. Tag us on X and Instagram with your selections, and we will have a good chat about them.
Mm-hmm. But if you do put Zamora or Kuipers below legend here, me and Aaron, we're coming.
Oh no, I'll block them. I'll just block them. It's just easier. I don't need that negativity in my life.
But no, please share your tier list with us. It's been really fun to do that, guys. So thanks to Joe and Aaron for joining us, and for you viewers who have joined us on the live stream as well. Premier League football will soon be back. It's been an interesting weekend in the Championship, League One, and in League Two. Plymouth Argyle got absolutely trounced by Sheffield Wednesday today. Oxford United beat Norwich yesterday. Wrexham won their first game. So football is back, and we can't wait for Premier League football to be back next week. Score predictions before we go, gents. We open our account next week at Everton. New coach, new players. Aaron, go first. What do you reckon it's going to be?
Ask me at 2:00 when I see the teams.
I love that.
I said it. I said the line.
It's like that Simpsons meme. Are you optimistic though, Aaron? New coach, new systems in place. Are you optimistic for the season, or do you think it's going to be a transition? And it's the
hope that kills you.
Ask him at 5:00 on Saturday.
Ask me at 4:58 when the final whistle goes, and I'll give you an answer. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, it can't be any worse towards the end of last season.
Yeah,
the end of last season was painful.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, like, I would rather work than go and watch that. Like, that's how bad it was. I mean, like I say, it can't be as worse as it was towards the end of last year.
Yeah,
that's the one. That's what my head's like. Just think of that. Just think of that.
I'm clipping that when we lose 5-0.
No, Joe. No. What I will say is,
this man knows. This man knows. It is the Brighton way.
It is the Brighton way. What I will say, Joe, is I think going forward, we're going to be really exciting this season. I think we've just seem to have a lot of exciting young players coming through. I'm really excited to see Minte, Pedro, and Matoma. You know, Welbeck's had a good preseason, so that's going to be interesting. Where I think we're going to perhaps struggle is we tend to, in preseason, we've looked very vulnerable on the counter attack. I mean, yesterday it was in 40 seconds. Villarreal hit the post. And granted, that was like the only real big opportunity they had. But I worry that a team like Everton, I think they'll just bury that personally.
Not with Calvert-Lewin up front. He scuffs it wide, so it's fine. Watch him score a hat trick.
Tom, we've had a near perfect preseason. Don't worry about it. We'll be fine.
Oh, you know me, Joe. I'm the breezy one of the group. I'm always relaxed.
So am I.
I'll be stressing when it comes to game day on Saturday for sure.
I'll be traveling down to Cornwall, so I'll be having it on the radio. So that's going to be awful.
Would be nice if we could sign a versatile defender in the meantime to plug those gaps. Maybe one from Turkey.
A right back from Turkey or a left back.
That'd be nice.
Yeah,
Or I believe there's also, talking of defenders, there's a free agent from Germany.
He looks rubbish.
Matt Hummels, I think his name is. I've never heard of him. But he seems...
Matty Hummels, did you say? Matty.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Good player. Yeah, good player. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, the thing is, though, he's from Germany, so he can't be that good. I mean, the last person we got from Germany was bang average, to be fair.
Yeah, pretty mediocre. But in all seriousness, now, Joe, I want your score prediction, please.
Can you not talk about Marcus Suttner like that, please? For goodness sake. Score prediction. Let's go 2-0 Brighton.
I like it. I'm gonna go with. I think it's gonna be open. I'm gonna copy you, Emerson. I'm gonna go 3-1 Brighton, and I just think we've got a lot of firepower, and I'm hopeful that we'll start the season well. So let's see how that goes. But in the meantime, Luke's pipped in with a 2-0 to Brighton as well.
You have to remember though. You have to remember Jason still will be playing, so it's definitely gonna be 2-1. Just remember that. All right.
No
Jason,
all right, fair enough.
Where was Jason Steele on the tier maker? Come on, Tom. Must try harder. But no, thank you once again, everyone, for joining us this evening. As Joe has already said, let us know. Tag us in your tier maker that you create using the players. We're really excited about next week, and we'll be back with you for a post-match reaction for that after the fact. All that's left to be said, guys, is wherever you may be, whenever you may be, we'll see you again next time. Let's go!
Don't steal my line.
Sorry, Aaron.
Aaron, you do it.
No, it's fine.
Boo.
I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry. Bye-bye.
He's not. He's lied.